particularly in the realms of artificial intelligence. We all know the two letters now. It's very famous, AI and digital media. It has transformed the way children learn, play, and interact with the world. And whilst these innovations offer tremendous educational and developmental benefits, they also pose risks such as screen addiction, privacy concerns, and exposure to inappropriate content. And I think that's the top of the list for us as parents. So parents must navigate this complex landscape to ensure that their children harnesses the benefits of technology whilst minimizing its potential drawbacks, of course. So in this segment, inshallah, we hope to explore how parents can effectively manage their children's tech use and, of course, leverage AI for positive outcomes, inshallah. Joined us now on the line. You can follow us live on Facebook and YouTube. We have Malana Bilal Katrada. Assalamu alaikum, Malana, and welcome back to Urban Women.
Wa alaikum salam, and jazakallah for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolute honor to be chatting with you about a very important topic that affects every parent, I say, because, you know, when you speak to many parents, they kind of say, or even grandparents, they marveled at how children are so excellent with these little devices and that they can do so much that we couldn't at our age. But let's face it, they're actually born in this time. It's already in their DNA, because when the mothers are pregnant, and the baby's the fetus in the womb, the mothers are busy with this as well. So it's already part of their DNA, right? But now we as parents have a challenge. What would you say? How can parents set effective boundaries around specifically screen time? Because I think in any home you go, if you even go to restaurants, you go out, you go to the malls, you just see families together, but everybody is just connected to a device. So what would you say? How do we manage the screen time for children?
So I think there are a couple of things to remember here, right? And I'm sort of going a little deeper into the philosophy around parenting, because I see this fundamental issue with how we approach parenting these days, and I think that needs to be addressed before we can get to your question. And the issue is this, that a lot of times I find parents are reluctant, or I don't know, use the word scared, to impose any kind of restrictions or rules on children, right? A lot of parents have spoken to, and I speak at a number of venues, right? For your listeners who want me to come and speak at your town, community, masjid, I'll be more than happy to do so.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, when I do speak, it's like, but Malisa, you know that we fight for our children nowadays. They throw a tantrum. Okay, that's first and foremost. That's a complete power shift now. What you've done is you've shifted power from yourself to your children. So somehow they've hijacked your position as parent, and they have taken control. So it's not the pilot that's piloting the plane any longer. Now it's the passenger that's piloting the plane. Yet your ability as a parent from Sharia and from society is to bring up your children in the right way and not let them dictate to you how they should be brought up. Okay, that's one. So we need to address that very critical issue there. The second thing is, when it comes to creating balance with screen time, right? Now, balance does not mean restriction, right? So, there's basically, I noticed two types of parenting. One is an additive type of parenting, where there are parents who want to give their children experiences, and they experience these things with them. They wanna get them to see the world. And then you get this restrictive parenting, where parents, they just want to say no to everything, right? Now, it's been proven over and over, and it comes in a hadith also, that when you stop a person from doing something, they want to do it more. Al-insanu harisun, more greedy to do something, ila ma muni'a minhu, from what he is prevented from what he's from. Now, that restrict, and we tend to do that, right? We think, as Muslim parents, we are very good at that. I was guilty of that at one stage. We want to say, no, you can't use this. My approach to that, when I tried that restrictive parenting, it didn't work. I've got 3 boys. Well, they are grown men now. And so it didn't. So I went into additive parenting. It was such an interesting story behind it. I actually mentioned it in my podcast this week, which
Uh-huh.
is Friday, inshallah. So, you know, it's about sharing experiences with your children. So what you need to do as a parent is understand your responsibility and also be part of that experience with your kids. Give them the devices to use to an extent and make sure that there are preconditions that I supervise and monitor everything you are doing on this device, and I can
Mm-hmm.
ask. In that sense, it remains a privilege. So you are,
Right.
but you are giving with some preconditions,
Mm-hmm.
and but completely restricting, because restricting is just these. I can tell you disaster stories. But anyways, so
Uh-huh.
you give them, because look, some people might criticize and say, well, no, this Maulvi Saab is telling we must give our children tech. Yes, because the careers, no matter what career they're going to get into in the future, is going to rely on their knowledge of technology. I mean, look at us right now,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Talking to each other. I'm in the south coast of KwaZulu Natal. You're probably in Gauteng somewhere. Part of your work is tech.
Yeah.
My my business is lines of code. So
Absolutely.
so it's necessary for them to learn technology, but the right part. So you give those conditions. The second thing is steer them. And listen, my appeal to all parents: steer them towards positive use of technology rather than negative use of technology. Now, what is
Mm-hmm.
negative? It's all those things that you mentioned: inappropriate content, cyberbullying. But for me, even decent content where the child is wasting time is
Mm-hmm.
negative content, right? So let's say she's watching something that's not offensive at all, nothing offensive, just innocent videos, short form, but she's wasting 4 or 5 hours a day on that. For me, that becomes a negative. Push them into
Absolutely.
positive things like what? Coding, robotics, journaling, digital photography. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much to do with technology that is positive. So I pushed my sons into more positive aspects of it. And alhamdulillah, today, all three of them are in the tech space. Their careers
Alhamdulillah.
in the tech space. So I think parents will say, but it's hard. We don't have the time. Then what's the option? Make them sit in front of Teletubbies the whole day. I don't know if they
Mm-hmm.
still watch, but you know,
Yeah, what we can relate to. No, absolutely. You sharing very important information with us, and I think that fear needs to go. And like with anything, you just show that that device is basically part of like how anything else that we would allow them to do, and we have to get into alignment and bring that in with the set of rules, so they know that I'm not just at liberty to do whatever I want. Because whether we like it or not, with this device, the world has become so small, and of course, there's so many factors for us to take into consideration, and we have to worry about the privacy as well, because we know how there's fraud, there's so many things that can be done on the net, and your privacy can be invaded, and how our little ones information can get hacked, and they are more vulnerable and exposed to that, of course, thinking that somebody out there is probably my friend. So it's so important that I think in our next segment, due to time, we're going to have to wrap this up, but inshallah, we'd love to connect with you next week and continue this very important discussion, because we as parents need to know how can we do this in a very proactive way and in a way that would be beneficial to us and to our child. And as you just said, like everything has its pros and cons. So why not allow them to harness the positive things of this, as you've mentioned, and inshallah allow our children to thrive. And I do agree with you. We're living in a time where we can't keep our children under the rock, because then they're just going to be lost and at a super disadvantage, I think, in times where everybody needs to know how to basically ride the wave. Malana, it's been absolutely wonderful chatting with you. Due to time, unfortunately, we're going to wrap up here, but inshallah, we'll continue with you next week if you do have the time. Do have yourself a lovely day. Until then, any last words for our listeners?
yeah, I mean, looking forward to it next week, inshallah. But I do have a podcast coming out on YouTube this Friday. It's
Fantastic.
called Visionary Parenting. You can find it on my YouTube channel, inshallah. But looking forward to next week, inshallah.
So your YouTube channel, you just have to search your name.
Bilal Cat, Bilalkat.
Wonderful. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
And that was Maulana Bilal Khatrada chatting to us about, so important is technology. How do we parents actually navigate that whole thing, and how do we actually manage that with our children so that it doesn't become a disadvantage? And that's so true. Tell somebody, no, you can't do that, and then just show you how much they actually will do that. Time for a break. When we get back, we'll be catching up with the Al-Ansar Shop. Stay tuned. You're listening to Urban Women with me, Razia Rangwage. Urban Woman, sponsored by Vada Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold, diamond,